Hi, and welcome to our Future Tech Traders Module 1 Lesson 1 on Supply and Demand. Supply is basically the producers for a good, and demand are the buyers for a good. Today we're going to learn about the quantity demanded and supplied versus shifts in demand and supply. First, let's understand what the law of demand states. The law of demand states that whenever the price of a product increases, the quantity demanded decreases, with the same for when the price of a product decreases, the quantity demanded increases. The reason for this is because of the income effect. Basically, when the price of a product decreases, you're able to buy more of the product with the same amount of money. Therefore, the quantity you demand increases. Another reason is a substitution effect. If the price of your product decreases, then you are willing to buy that product over its substitute. Therefore, you demand more of that product. The third reason would be the diminishing marginal utility, basically stating, as the quantity increases, your satisfaction for each additional product decreases, therefore you're willing to pay less money. Let's understand how and when the demand curve shifts. The demand curve will shift if there's a change in income. Let's say you receive a bonus. You will be able to buy more goods, therefore your demand will increase. But you should also understand what an inferior product is. An inferior product is whenever your income rises and your demand decreases. For example, ramen noodles. If you're a college student, you most likely have a very low income. Therefore, you're probably going to be eating ramen noodles. But let's assume that you get a real job and your salary goes up. Your income will goes up, but now that you're able to buy better quality foods, your demand for ramen noodles will decrease. Therefore, ramen noodles is an inferior good. It's also important to understand how the prices of related goods affect the demand for your product. For example, orange juice is a substitute for milk. So if the price of orange juice goes up, more people are going to buy milk, and so the demand for milk increases. Since milk and cookies are complements, meaning when people buy milk, they are also going to buy cookies. If the price of cookies increases, the demand for milk will decrease because people are going to be less likely to buy milk. The third reason would be the preferences of buyers. Let's say there's a new trend, the low-carb diet trend. The demand for wheat-based product, or carb-based products I should say, is going to decrease, such as bread. Another reason would be the number of buyers in a market. Let's say a bunch of people move to your town. The demand for goods in your town is going to increase because the number of buyers increase. And there's also expectations of buyers can dictate the demand. Let's say buyers assume in the future that the price of milk will increase. They're going to buy more now because the price now would be less than what they expected to be. Therefore, the demand curve will shift to the right. The demand will increase. And this is important to understand because general expectations dictate the demand of stocks, and it affects the price of stocks. What are the effects of the shifts in demand on price and quantity? If demand increases, price and quantity increase. For example, in this graph, you can see the demand curve shifts to the right, and the price with the intersection point between demand and supply increases. If demand decreases, however, the price and quantity would decrease. Let's understand what demand is versus the quantity demanded. When we say demand, we are referring to the entire demand curve. But when we say quantity demanded, we're talking about the specific quantity at on a point on the demand curve. For example, the quantity demanded for D1 would be Q1. Let's go over the law of supply. When the price of a product increases, the quantity supplied increases. And when the price of a product decreases, the quantity supplied decreases. The reason for this is the law of the diminishing marginal return. Basically, this law is as you produce more of a good, it will cost you to produce more. Therefore, suppliers are less willing to produce a good at a lower price. Why is the supply curve shift? The first reason the supply curve can shift is if there's a change in input prices, basically the cost for a company. For some examples of the input prices are rent and wages. The second reason for shifts in the supply curve would be changes in technology. Let's say there's a new robot that can produce anything 10 times faster. The supply for a product will increase because they can produce more. The third reason would be producer expectations. If producers expect the price in the future to be high, they're going to sell less right now, so they're going to decrease the supply because they want to save to sell more in the future. If they expect the price to be lower in the future, they're going to produce more now, increasing supply. The fourth reason supply can shift is due to the number of sellers. If more firms enter a market, then the supply will increase. But if firms leave the market, the supply will decrease. How does the change in supply affect price and quantity? If supply decreases, price will increase and quantity decreases. If supply increases, price decreases and quantity increases. We can see this in the graph. As supply shifts from S1 to S2, it decreases. Therefore, the intersection point between supply and demand changes. P1 shifts to P2 and Q1 shifts to Q2. Supply is different from quantity supply because supply refers to the entire supply curve, and quantity supply is a specific point on the supply curve. It's also important to understand what the factors of production are. The factors of production basically define the overall supply for an entire economy. The overall supply in an economy is defined by the natural resources available, such as land, rivers, water, clean water, and labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and technology. Let's understand what surpluses and shortages are. What is a surplus? Surplus is basically when quantity demanded is less than the quantity supplied. For example, let's assume the government sets a price floor, dictating that price cannot go below a certain point above the equilibrium. At this point, the quantity demanded will be greater than the quantity supplied. The quantity demanded will be less than the quantity supplied. Therefore, there will be a surplus. Next, let's discuss what a shortage is. This is basically when quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. So, if the government decides to put a price ceiling, reducing the price, the quantity demanded will be greater than quantity supplied because suppliers are not willing to produce how much buyers want. And we should also understand what equilibrium is. Equilibrium is whenever quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. This is the most socially optimum position because it maximizes the benefit for everyone in the market. Let's also understand what opportunity cost. Opportunity cost of an item is what we give up to get that item. Opportunity cost determines what a firm produces, so it's important to understand this. Let's look at firm A. If they can produce 100 potatoes in an hour and 200 carrots in an hour, and they receive 50 cents per potato and $1 per carrot, what are they going to produce? So let's first consider how much they earn from potatoes and how much they earn from carrots. If they can earn $50 per hour if they produce only potatoes, or they can earn $200 per hour if they produce only carrots. So the opportunity cost of producing carrots is $50 because they won't be able to produce potatoes. They're missing out on that income. But the opportunity cost of producing potatoes would be the $200 they could earn from producing carrots. Therefore, this company is going to produce carrots because their opportunity cost is less. It's only $50. Why is opportunity cost important when saving? It's important to consider opportunity cost because there's always an opportunity cost to holding cash, holding money, rather than keeping it into a saving account or investing it. Whenever there is high rate of return in the stock market or in a savings bank account, your opportunity cost for holding cash is high, so you want to put this in a bank as soon as possible. So here are some practice problems you can do, and we'll discuss these later in a future video. In the future, you look forward to more information on Nova Investment Fund, the Wharton Investment Competition, our new trading algorithm modules, and make sure to check out our Market Watch articles. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the video.